My name is Katie Flynn, and I'm going to be talking about neonicotinoids pesticides and their effects on insects and what they're impacting. We all have experienced the spraying of a field. Some of us have even seen the prop plane overhead letting down its mist rows by rows. Now they even use drones. Others have smelled it behind their homes and the crops surrounding them. And some people have looked out their backseat window while on a drive, gazing at the tractors with chemical in tow. And most of us would not think a thing of it, as it's been a part of our lives for as long as we can remember. The spraying of fields to alleviate pests during the growing season, who would not want to use it? Well, after seeing 50,000 bees dead in a Target parking lot, I would reconsider. This was an eye-opening event that led to the question of what the aftermath effect of using neonicotinoid pesticides on vegetation. And the way neonicotinoid pesticides work is through the plant's centralized nervous system. And it is there 24/7, which makes it impossible for the bee, as many insects, to surpass. And here's the reality. Trees and plants need pollinated, and bees need pollen. It's a give and take relation for survival of them and us. There are already plans in place to pollinate via machinery. EDETS is already testing the tube pollinating machines in almond groves in Israel and Australia. It will be in the United States next year. So when does this become a species ethical decision? We wipe out an entire species because a machine can do it better. Eradicating what has been created has never been a good idea.
One of the ways that we can avert what these insecticides have done to the bee population and the other insect population is organic farming. The French started looking at this in 2008 and have been doing studies since then with this. One of the biggest things that they found was with the bee population, they produced 32% more brood. Brood are baby bees. They produce 20% more adult bees and 56% more honey production. So what does that tell you? That tells you that these insecticides are doing so much damage to these bee populations that they have to go back to their natural roots in order to get what they need to get and to produce what they need to produce, instead of us looking at ways that we could up our production that's not supposed to be upped. These bees are being killed because of the insecticides that we're using. Right now, Minnesota is doing something really, really cool. They are starting to pay the residents who choose to plant flowers that will actually bring in the bees. Urban farming is what it's called. We actually have a place in Cumming that has started urban farming as well. The biggest thing with urban farming is that what people have realized is that a lot of big ag has taken up a lot of farmland, which they do use chemical on. Organic farming is just starting to come out. So now that we know that these insecticides are affecting our bee population, and if bee population is affected, it affects our produce, it affects our vegetation, it affects everything that we need to survive as humans. So the really cool thing is now we've put money into urban farming. And one of the things that is really cool is that they're doing rooftop bees. So they're actually setting up beehives on top of skyscrapers and rooftops, apartment buildings, etc., so that they can start bringing those bees not only from our rural areas, but also where we're heavily populated in. People are being more cognizant of what's happening, and they're trying to actually make a solution that works for us to sustain this wildlife that we need.
To recap, the main topic of discussion is neonicotinoid pesticides and how they are affecting you and our insect populations. Point blank, they are negatively impacting our bee population, which affects our bees pollinating our food sources. The way we can diffuse this consequence is to improve our agricultural practices and to move to more organic methods. We need to be intentional.